The NFL stands for not for long.
Set, Sharga and Armstead. Roll out, Walker still running out. Looks to the left, wide open, Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of him.
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Colin Thompson Show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Our media company here, Not For Long Media. That's Jack Connell, our wonderful team at the media company. A lot going on, Jack. New show coming out, Food, Drinks, Football. Ever heard of it? Ever try to put together an 8-episode, 150, maybe more social media clip monster? That's what we're doing here at Not For Long Media. And our team has been killing it. It's been an absolute blast. I'm Colin Thompson. That's Jack Connell. Appreciate everybody tuning in. As you guys know, the original Fudge Kitchen has been sponsoring us for a while. They're 50 years old. They have not been sponsoring us for 50. This media company's been around since 2017. But they have 50 years of excellence and 50 years of first-class service, and we are blessed to have them as one of our sponsors here. The coolest part about it for them, guys, is you can get it down the Jersey Shore, Ocean City, Stone Harbor, Wildwood, Cape May, or you can order online, fudgekitchens.com. All that rich, creamy fudge, they'll send it right to your door, and all their sweet treats. Chocolate-covered pretzels for me, chocolate-covered strawberries, the homemade Reese's cups, you name it, they got it. Fudgekitchens.com. All right, Jack. Man, we got to tackle some NFL stuff. I have a solo Sirius XM NFL radio show tonight, Jack, Channel 88. I'll be by myself. So if you want to call in and be Jack from Hatboro talking Eagles, the Eagles, not a convincing win. What do you think? Jack, first things that come to mind for you after this weekend of football, you do a ton for the Ross Tucker Show. You watch a ton of football. Top of your head, first thing coming to your mind about this weekend of football, what are those things?
I think my favorite thing this time of year is always sort of seeing the changing of the guards as it comes to who the top teams are in the NFL and what teams are on the rise and fall. And it's very nice to see. I mean, I really haven't witnessed it much in my lifetime, but seeing Washington and the Commanders franchise being on the up, having hope. I mean, there was RG3 for a little bit there when I was a kid, but like, I feel like it's the first time like they have like serious. I mean, I guess you could consider Kirk Cousins as well, but just seeing the excitement and hope for that franchise, same way we saw this excitement and hope last year to Detroit Lions and so on and so forth, other teams. It's always nice to watch. And I think that's my biggest takeaway. And it's just seeing other teams shift, like Cincinnati now falls to 0-3. Jacksonville falls to 0-3. The futures of those franchises, you don't like to see it, but it's just, I always just fascinated by the different changings of those teams.
I love it, Jack. Very nice. Almost like you work in media. That was impressive. That was really good. No, I agree. I mean, you're seeing, you know what makes me happy, Jack? You know what I think about is, damn, I was right about a lot of stuff this offseason. Now, it's 3 weeks in. I'm probably going to end up being wrong. But, you know, I said the Cardinals will be better than people think. I think they're a respected team in the NFL now. Now, they lost this weekend. I get it, to Detroit. But that they look like they're in the right direction. Congrats to Coach Gannon. That's very hard to do. The Saints, I pounded the table for them, right? That's been cool to see. Washington, I have been beating that drum. The owner, GM, head coach, quarterback. You have that right, you can figure out the rest. And I'm going to get into that on the show today. What else, Jack? What was I really wrong about? I was wrong about the Rams. I thought they would. Let me backtrack this. A couple weeks ago, when they beat the Lions, when they lost to the Lions, I said, wow, that was a moral victory. They got the firepower to do it with all these injuries. Then they come out and lay an egg. Then last week, they come out with no firepower. Everybody's hurt, and they beat the freaking Niners. So, I mean, listen, can you put a combination of guys into the Hall of Fame? Like, or they may be both going. Sean McVay's definitely going. Matt Stafford should go, right? Matt Stafford over Eli Manning?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the ring, so I would say so.
Yeah. So, like, but what they do with the Rams, that's, I mean, it's insane, Jack. Like, it's insane. I know this is probably not the best radio in the world because Jack and I are sitting here literally having a conversation, which is, hey, that's probably why you're tuning in. But I'm just like, I mean, I wasn't able to watch the film. I'm going to watch it today, preparing for the thing. But you're just like, what the heck? How do they even do it? There's only so much assets in this NFL. That's what people don't understand. How do you even do it? Higbee's out, Nakua's out, Cooper's out. They have missing offensive linemen. They have injured players on defense. And you have a quarterback who's old and has been lit up throughout his career. And that guy is tough as shit. I mean, what a compliment Dan Campbell said. The more you hit him, the better he plays. So, what are your thoughts on the Eagles game, Jack?
I thought it was very. I don't like sloppy football. I don't like when there are mistakes there. And I am not a person I've always been the type of person that's I'm going to reserve judgment on situations because the people involved in the situation know better than I do. And the only time there were certain times in that Eagles game from Philadelphia's perspective, the only time you could ever excuse it was New York. I think it was literally last week where it's their kicker is hurt. You saw the Philadelphia Eagles signed Jake Elliott to a massive rework contract. I think it was this offseason, not the previous offseason. He's making one of the highest paid kickers in football. And this was a game very clearly. You got to take the points when they're there. It's not like Atlanta last week where it was a surefire play. It was you needed to take those points because it was very hard to come by. And I feel like every single point, that defense played incredible. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis shut up every single concern about them that whole week. And I think that there was an opportunity. You had to kick point. You had to take the field goal, take the points, and they just didn't. And stuff like that frustrates me. So that was my takeaway.
My literally notes, I'm going to go through them right now. Listen, I think you're spot on. I watched that game. I watched it in parts on Sunday. I had to be at the Verizon store, which, as everybody knows listening here, is, man, are there worse places to be on a busy time? I wonder what the worst, we're not going to do rankings and all that. We did some of that stuff in the off season. But, I think I was there for 2.5 hours on a Sunday, right in the middle of football. And my job literally is talk about football. You can talk about stressed. I got the open. If you have Sirius XM and you have to travel, it's pretty much, and it's the red zone. Sunday, I work for the network. I should know, but it's great. The Sunday drive, it's tremendous. It's 8 hours. They're going through every game. Let's go Sunday here in the red zone. It's incredible. And you have the local broadcast of what's happening for the team and good. So it's actually really cool. They have that for, college football too. If you're a college football junkie, I bought it for a couple of years for $15 a month. I loved it. Literally, it's Saturday and they just go around college football and just red zone, going to the local. If you're a radio geek like I am, because I got to do it and I loved it, it's fun. Philadelphia Eagles, sloppy win. Presented by our friends at Arnicare, BoironUSA.com. The Eagles were super sloppy, but they found a way to win. And to me, that is the main thing. Keep the main thing. Going back to the slop, though, they had a punt blocked. Easy assignment for your wing and protection. You have the number one player off the edge, period. You can't just let him run scot-free. So sloppy there, punt blocked. The false starts, the lining up incorrectly, covering up players, the 60-yard field attempt, right? That's a tough one there. Right, going for different plays on fourth down and all that stuff. What's the context of the game? That's how I judge it. It's not about analytics. It's what's the context. We're on the road. It's a loud environment. Our defense is really good. I think that's why he said, let's go for it, because our defense, we're going to make them drive the end of the field, and our defense is ready to play today. I would love to see more design runs for Jalen instead of scrambles. We saw that 2 weeks ago. You saw how more confident he got and the success they had. You're starting to see the home run ability of Saquon, which we're talking about. At any given moment, he can change the football game. Trust me, I saw it at Temple. He did nothing against us when we played him in 2016. First play of the second half, I believe he scored. The guy, when he touches it, he's that good. The D-line, dominant. Jalen Carter, go back and watch that film. The guy was, whatever happened this week, he showed up late. People were calling him out in the media. He's pissed. He's talking crap the whole game. Play like that, Jalen. Play like that. Jalen Hurts, though, scares me a little bit. A lot of turnovers this year. He leads the NFL in turnovers since Shane Steichen left. Right? That's concerning. Zach Bond, that guy flies around and make plays. He's like a Sam Backer, edge setter guy. And here he is now for the Eagles, running around the field. And you're like, oh, who made that tackle? Oh, it's Bond again. So congrats to him. And honestly, they went down to New Orleans and beat a good football team in a toughest place to play in the NFL. They played sloppy. They beat a really good football team. They held Kamara under 100 yards. Like those play action pass West Coast offenses, if you hold them under 100 yards rushing, I would love to know how successful even their pass game is, right? You saw when the pressure got to Carr, how it really, screwed him up. So a lot of notes there on the Eagles game, Jack. I thought they were uncomfortable at times. And, I thought they made the Saints very uncomfortable at times. And overall, you got to find a way to win, and the Eagles are finding ways to win. Very similar to last year before things unraveled. Let's see. Anything else there that I missed? I'm trying to think. That was pretty much it for me from the Eagles. I like the way they're trending. Got to kick some field goals, though, Jack. That's for sure. Let's talk about the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders have the right alignment to win now, and it's showing on the field. Brought to you by our friends over at Pure Encapsulations. They are a part of my daily diet, a way to help me improve to perform at a high level. I love the magnesium. Helps me remain calm, work through some things. They're fantastic. Love Pure Encapsulations. Awesome stuff. Check them out. Commanders. Colin Cowherd always says it. Owner, GM, head coach, quarterback. All four of those are figured out. And when all four of those are figured out, you have a lot of success. And you saw it. The one thing I had a big question mark about the Commanders was this. It wasn't their talent. They brought some great veterans in this offseason. Wagner, Eckler, Luvu, Chin, Dante Fowler. Like, they brought guys in ready to play. It was Cliff Kingsbury. What's the offense going to look like? Are we going to be in shotgun the whole time and looking like Kyler Murray? Looking like a college offense? Or are we going to get under center at times and we're going to play action pass and do a bunch of stuff? And that's what excited me the most was, we all saw the throw versus cover zero. Incredible. But what excited me the most was the fact that they got under center. They ran the ball. And then very similar to Lamar Jackson's situation, because Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson. Like, if Lamar Jackson wasn't around, people will be looking at Jaden Daniels like, oh my God, that's the next God's gift. He doesn't run as well as Lamar. Lamar's the best runner of the football probably ever to play in the NFL, but he runs really well. And you could see, like, smart with his feet. Like, it breaks down, I'm going to pull it and make the right play. So they have him just making the right play. That's why they're doing well. Very limited turnovers. None in the last 2 games. Incredible. Their punter has not punted. So impressive stuff for Washington. I again, been wrong about a lot of things in my life. I was dead on with them. I believe in Dan Quinn because he's a great dude. He's a winner. People want to play for him. The guy's got his hat backwards on the sideline. He's fun to be around. Great dude. I love the team. What do you think about him, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Dan Quinn's tremendous coach. It's always great seeing coaches getting. I mean, he didn't really he had a good first run, but seeing a coach getting a second shot at it is really nice to see, especially when they thrive in their second situation so far, like he has in Washington. And like you mentioned with Jaden Daniels, like, he's known for, I think his biggest thing to fans and stuff in his draft profile was this guy is as fast and as mobile as Lamar Jackson. And I mean, like you mentioned, he's not as good as a quarterback running. Like, he's not a great quarterback runner as Lamar Jackson, but he has the athletic traits, very, very similar athletic traits. But
probably the best running quarterback in the league other than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I think maybe just because of his elusiveness, I think you could put Kyler up there.
Okay, yeah. Other than Kyler.
But,
that's it.
Yeah.
He's better than Jalen running.
Yeah. But just the fact that he was so precise with his throws, like you mentioned, setting him up for success. 21, it doesn't matter what system you are set to succeed in. 21 for 23 is incredible. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's dinks and dunks or whatever. That is a tremendous passing performance from him. And coming as a rookie against the Cincinnati defense, like the Bengals are 0-3, but that's a pretty solid defense to begin with. Like, they've got some dudes. Like, he gets a lot of flack, but Taylor Britt's a really solid corner. Like, that's a tremendous performance to have against any defense. So I think that was just really impressive to see that. Robinson's a tremendous running back. Terry McLaurin, that's just so great seeing McLaurin get his flowers. I mean, I saw the stat of how many quarterbacks he's played with. Like, it's began with Kirk Cousins. Like, it's so many different dudes between the Heineke's, Alex Smith. Or I don't know if he started with Alex Smith or he started with Cousins, but he's gone through a lot of quarterbacks. And to see him have some success last night as a culmination of all that was truly tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all great points from you, Jack. I mean, man, I hate to say it, but Sam Darnold. The amount of texts I'm getting from people about Sam Darnold is really good to see. We are not clipping this, Jack. We're not making a clip out of this, but I just think I will say this. There's a trend in the NFL that's happening, and it's nothing new. It's play great defense and run the football. Like, the Vikings are running the football. The play action pass was working. The Saints are running the football. The play action pass is working. When the Niners run the football, the play action pass works. When the Jets and Breece Hall are running the football well, the play action pass works. If you can establish the run, especially in today, early in the season, right, it's hard not to have success. Like, period. Run the ball. Run the football. Like, you watch the Chiefs. They're the anomaly. They're the only ones in the league. Look what the Bengals are doing. They don't run the West Coast offense. They put him back at gun. They do some zone runs, and they have him play kind of hero ball like he did in college. So go ahead, Jack. You're antsy to cut me off. What do you got?
Nothing. It's just the way you say that, and I know you're not online enough to see. There's something going around. I don't know. Somebody, I think he is from PFF, and I don't know his exact claim, but he basically was saying that establishing the run is a fallacy, that it's not exactly, it's a myth in terms of football, and it's not necessarily important to creating success. And I don't think that's true. And I know you know for a fact that that's not
It's like
true.
the people that don't believe in momentum.
Yeah. Like, it came from a fact of Tom Brady saying that they need to establish the run. And, like, I think if anybody knows the importance of establishing a run, it's Tom Brady. Like,
Let's just go through the teams who established the run. Just off the top of my head. These are the teams in the NFL off the top of my head that just run the football at a high clip. Ravens, playoff team. Detroit, playoff team. I think New Orleans is a playoff team. Eagles are a playoff team.
Chargers,
run the football. I don't know if they're a playoff team.
Packers.
Right? Packers. I don't know. To me, you're going on I'm not going that direction. I'm going like the teams that really run the ball. Like, so
Chargers really run the ball. Under Jim Harbaugh, they've been J.K. Dobbins has been a
right.
workhorse.
They really run the ball. I just don't know if they're
They're
I don't know how-
outperforming their expectations of that offense by running the football.
correct. Very well said. I am completely wrong. Right? Like, run the ball, man. Simple as that. Like, I don't know. I'll say this. The Ravens should have no room and no cause for concern. But they don't throw the football. They don't even want to throw it. And they didn't want to throw it against Dallas this week. Every play, what they're doing, the zone read, the read option, the duo runs, the power gap scheme runs with the jet sweeps off of them. I mean, they threw like an out route. The Aguilar made someone miss. He went like 60. Zay Flowers is, I think, a great receiver in this league, but I think he's more of a gadget guy than like a true number one, like Nico Collins or, AJ Brown, right? That's not a hot take. So, like, what they're doing with what they have with the offensive line is pretty impressive. A Mark Andrews guy, oh man, the guy's banged up still. You can tell he's not right. So, pretty impressive by the Ravens. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do the rest of the year, but their team I'm circling. I don't care about the records. I really don't care about the records through 4 games. Like, to me, they're ridiculous. I don't care. They don't matter. They don't matter. It's how you play November 1. And I know that's through 8 games, but like, don't lose enough to ruin your season to start, but like, it's just be around 500 and go play well the last 2 months of the season. You'll be fine. All right, Jack, let's see what else we have to unpack here. And then I want to send it over to JJ Jansen. We did JJ earlier. He's tremendous. You're going to love this interview. If you're a Panthers fan or you're just a fan of football and he talks about David Tepper. He talks about a lot of things that people may not know about. So, really good stuff from our boy JJ Jansen. Okay, anything else, Jack? Oh, let's go this. Keep an eye on Joe Brady being NFL head coach. My coach of the week this week, brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. It's my man Joe Brady. 9-1. 9-1 they are when Joe Brady is the OC. They are a team that spreads the football out with Joe Brady as an OC. He did it in Carolina when he was the OC there. We had several players with 1,000 all-purpose yards or more. He did it with all the great players they had in LSU. Everybody got the ball. 2 first-round pick receivers. They had a second-round pick receiver, and they had a first-round pick running back. Everybody touched the ball. They also had a first-round pick quarterback in Joe Burrow. Buffalo, everybody's touching the ball. Multiple receivers. There's not one clear-cut number one guy. Getting the best out of what they have. Joe Brady, he is on watch to be an NFL head coach next year. Young offensive-minded guys, they are the flavor. Why? Because it works. It has continued to work in the league. LaFleur, McVay, McDaniel, my guy Kevin O'Connell, right? There's a lot of guys in the league having a lot of success. Shanahan. So Joe's up next. And if they continue in the direction they're going, where he's kind of harnessing Superman, letting Superman make the right plays, and Josh Allen. They're going to run the football. They're going to spread the football out. They're going to take what the defense gives them. They're going to have a ton of success. Excited to see what Buffalo does as the season moves on. Anything else, Jack, before we go?
No, just talking about Buffalo. It's nice to see. I mean, we saw at the end of last year when Brady took over, but seeing, like you sort of mentioned it too, just seeing specifically James Cook and Dalton Kincaid being more involved in that offense is just real. Kincaid is awesome. I mean,
Knox is great too.
Yeah.
Like they got 3 backs, they got 2 tight ends, they got 3 receivers. They're all, you can name a lot of guys in their football club, which to me is impressive. All right, Jack. JJ Jansen, the most games in Carolina Panthers history. Great friend, great guy. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Enjoy week 4. Wow. How many? 4. All right, Jackie. Thanks to Fudge Kitchen. Thanks to our friends over at Arnicare, BoironUSA.com, FudgeKitchens.com. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy JJ. All right, JJ Jansen's here. What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, buddy. You guys doing good? I love
great.
the painting in the background.
That was a gift from no one other than the greatest teammate I've ever played with, Ian Thomas. Other than you, of course.
Present company excluded.
He's the best. You've been with Ian a while. Isn't he the great
Yeah. It feels like he just got here, and it's like 7 or 8 years, and
Isn't that crazy?
he's fantastic.
He was there a couple years before I was. For those listening, wondering who JJ Jansen is, I played with JJ 2020, 2021, 2022.
Yep.
Celebrated many field goals with him. Celebrated protections on punts. We never got a punt blocked when I was there.
I think so. We went a long time. We
did let up a touchdown. I was on the field for the Denver TD.
Oh yeah. Those are bad. Punt blocks always feel a little worse. But they're both equally bad.
Like 4 things went wrong. We all stacked each up. 4 guys fell, and then all of a sudden it's like, Colin, you got to run here. It's like, dude, I don't have that in my bag.
I have the juice. Now, I'm in the protection and try to get everybody else out before I go run down the field.
Me too, pal. I was quick to get out. I thought I always had a really good release, and I was the first guy out. I was the first guy at 15 yards, which is fine because everyone caught up to me at the end. So, or Sam Franklin, the greatest special teams player in the league, I think, one of them when he's healthy. Temple tough. I recruited Sam in a snowstorm when he's never seen snow before at Temple.
Florida boy, yeah, that's we've talked a little bit about Florida, and I always wonder to myself, how did he end up at Temple from Florida? But you go where you can play, and he's carved himself a great role with us and captain this year, so it's been great.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Okay, let's get into the season. 2 wins last year, like you and I were talking off air. A big win this year. I mean, Bryce goes down, right? You put him on the bench. There's a lot of turmoil, owner, this, that. Everybody in the media is taking jabs. You played the most games in Carolina Panthers history, correct?
Yeah.
So a prideful man who will go into the Ring of Honor, I would assume.
I'm not sure about that. There's a lot of really good players that are going in long before me, but
you get in there.
I'll definitely get a plaque that says oldest.
What does the win mean, though? Not like, it's great, but like, listen, it's got to be you get to exhale for a flight home at least, because those flights home, and I've been on a lot of them with you, brother.
Yeah.
We played Seattle. We lost there. We played in our era. I think we had a chance to be really good. We had a lot of really good players, and the ball didn't bounce our way. But I've been a lot of those losing flights home. They suck. That's a Raiders team that beat the hell, or at least hung tight and ended up beating the Ravens, right?
Yep.
So you're like, boy, like, you watch the tape, you know who they're playing against. That's good teams. And then to go out there and get a win, man. What does it truly mean to you and then to the team?
Well, for me personally, it was just a lot of fun, right? Every Saturday you fly out and you're on these long flights, especially the West Coast. You kind of remind like, we better go win because this is a long flight and you want to be able to enjoy it on the way back. So that was fun to play well on special teams, to punt well, kick well, that stuff. All, you boil it down to like, how do you perform? How's your little group perform? That always is kind of first and foremost. Mm-hmm. For the team, that was as important of a win as we have probably had, certainly since 2022. And there were when Coach Wilkes was coaching us, there were some big moments I remember in that year, even the way we finished game winner field goal at New Orleans just to finish the season strong. So there's these moments, But given what our group has been through the last couple of years, and then the week that we had, coaching staff decides to bench Bryce, the national media turned, like we hadn't really been that big of a story, smaller market, not really a story. And then all of a sudden, hey, you bench Bryce, and the dog pile came on. They went after the players. They went after the coaching staff. They went after our owner. They went after just everything about Carolina Panthers football. To go out to Vegas in a really good environment. It was my first time I'd ever been there. Really cool stadium, really great environment. Loud. It was really loud. And Andy walked us right down the field and scored. 4 or 5 guys caught passes. Everybody touched the ball. It was a great team effort. We went right down and we scored. A little back and forth early and then kind of pulled away. And just to see the joy on everybody's face, everyone was equally contributing. Offense, defense, special teams. Everybody on offense touched the ball. Andy got a lot of attention and praise, and rightfully so. But, I mean, JJ Jansen had 14 targets. Thielen had a big touchdown catch. Chuba, as you've known Chuba since he got to Carolina, just ran so hard. Miles Sanders, same thing. Everyone contributed. And so whenever you go and have a team win, especially given the week we had, was really, really special.
Folks that are listening that are Panthers fans, when you watch Chuba Hubbard play, he is the most aware, I think, of any player I've ever played with, or at least publicly acknowledges it, that I am no one without the people around me. Mm-hmm. And if you watch him, folks, after every run, he is thanking somebody. Mm-hmm. A lot of people run to help him up, always a sign of who the player is, not who they are as who they are as a person, not the player.
That's how the guys respond to those players. Like, if they're getting picked up, the players love and respect that guy.
Yeah, like I used to lose it when guys wouldn't block for Christian. Take a play off. It's like, I'm frustrated. Like, because that's what it takes, I think, in this game is you got to get emotionally invested with guys. The best teams know each other. The best guys know what Christian did to try to get back and lose the rap of an injury-prone football player. Yeah, like living in a hyperbaric chamber, all that stuff. So, yeah, there was times where I had confrontations with people and I was hurt, and that's really hard to have those confrontations of like, dude, like, come on, man, like. You're not even going to run off the ball. This guy's, and then he gets decapitated and he's on the ground and everyone's saying he's injury prone when really he's just getting smoked because of laziness. But that's neither here nor there. Chuba, when someone blocks for him, he's pointing at people. He's thanking everybody. Like, the guy's an incredible human, of course, because he's Canadian, saying from this wonderful country that we're in right now, JJ. We're not going to get into politics, but
I could.
I know we could. I miss our locker room chatter.
Yeah.
Is the golf simulator still there?
It is. It's been well used. I think the program for the actual golf course broke, and so now we're just like on Top Golf or something else like that. You still hear shots. It's more of an off-season thing. Once the regular season starts, guys, backs are a little bit tighter, shoulders are a little sore, so there's not as much golf. But guys are still in there and competing and having fun. Yeah.
Johnny Hecker, how's he doing? I mean, where's this guy rank all time as punter? Guys on
Hecker's the best. He's a fantastic punter. He's got all the shots, all different kinds of punts. He's got all the throws. He's creative. He's he's kind of changed the way the entire league plays the position, just in terms of what is the punter doing and asked to do. And we still gain a ton of respect from other teams. Our game this week, first 2 punts we come out, they're in defensive safe and their corners are playing off at 12 yards and they're basically playing cover 3 against our punt team. Like, and that's just the respect he has. We're always searching, looking for opportunities to throw or run or do something to get our team a first down. But teams are kind of right now, they're taking that away because of who Johnny is. And they know that he's a weapon. Special teams coaches want to give the ball back to their offensive coordinator. So, but he's changed the way that everyone plays fourth down in the NFL on punt. And so he's still one of the best, a fantastic holder, great leader, great captain and leader of the entire team, not just special teams. He's special.
I remember when he signed him 2022, and I was like, wow, we're really going for this thing. Like, you don't just sign a punter to that. You sign, if we're still trying to figure things out, you're drafting a guy late, or you're taking a guy undrafted, or you maybe get a guy that's been a journeyman, because those guys pop too, right? Like, same with long snappers, right? Like you were in Green Bay and all of a sudden you end up at Carolina and you haven't looked back. Played the most games in history of the league. Now I have fond memories and it's tough, man. That's where I played the bulk of my career and it's a punching bag, and I try to defend it as best I can. But again, when you're not there in the foxhole with the guys, I've been a part of it. It sucks. All right. So we're talking off air too. I think I want to give you the opportunity to talk about David Tepper. You have a good relationship with the owner of the team. I was telling a story earlier was, I had a little engagement with him. His wife's a wonderful lady. We talk food in Charlotte all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
And David was nothing but great to me. Even when I was had a couple of drinks playing air guitar at Kenny Chesney concert in front of him.
I know. I missed that concert. Those stories still go around the organization. I wasn't even there. We were on family vacation, which of course I never trade for anything, but I did miss out on one of the more momentous evenings in Bank of America Stadium history.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look back and I have a little regret on some things. I didn't do anything illegal or wrong per se, but I was having a great time. I will say this. I had drinks. Yeah, we had a great time. Everybody's had a good time. The owners were there. The unique part about it was the end of the draft. So, front office, coaches, everybody's ripping it up, having a great time. It was right after COVID. And, I was just talking smack, having a good time. And me and Pat Elfline, man, we were the guys that were the guys having a great time.
That's a legend.
Once you go on that stage, though, I'll say this. That's the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever had in my life. It's not even close. We played in front of all these people. I played at sold-out stadiums. It is not close, JJ. To be not hey, we're on the field and I'm with my teammates and everyone's yelling. No, there's only 10 people they're screaming for. You're like, whoa, it was whoa. So that had a major effect on my juice, and I was jacked up. Just FaceTime with my dad, showing him the stage. But neither here nor there. Talk about David Tepper. He gave me advice one time as he was walking out, and I said, "Can I get some investing advice?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, buy Amazon." So that was really good.
He and everybody else on CNBC and Fox Business, I'm sure, gave the same advice, and it's been good for everybody. So that's good advice.
Just fill us in on him. You got to know him on an intimate level. You played for the franchise his entire time there, and maybe share a story about him.
Yeah, he's like a lot of people in our organization, he has come under fire a lot, and and he's been really, really great to. He and his wife Nicole have been great to me and our family. He is very relatable. He desperately wants to win. He wants the players to have the very best. And I think what always stinks is when there are struggles on the field in an organization, especially as you're trying to get it right. And inevitably, the criticisms they start at the bottom. It's the running back, it's the left tackle, it's whatever. Then it goes to the quarterback. Then it becomes the head coach, then the GM. And then eventually, if the problems last long enough, it's it has to be the general man or it has to be the owner. And I think it's a very unfair criticism. I'm obviously in the building. I have a relationship. So that always, you're going to have bias because you have personal relationship. But Dave and Nicole have been nothing but fantastic, in my opinion, to the players, the coaches, the front office. We've obviously not figured out the winning stuff enough, but that's not for lack of trying, not for lack of taking big swings. Obviously, there's a lot of criticism, right, about all of the things that we have done over the last 6 years to try to find a quarterback and to have a franchise quarterback. Back when you got there, it was Teddy Bridgewater, and then it was trading for Sam Darnold, and then trading for Baker, and then trading for Bryce. He's trying to win, and he knows that position is so important, and he's going for it, and he's encouraging the general managers and the coaches to go for it. He loves us dearly. I think one of the most misunderstood sort of moments in Panther history was last year in Jacksonville. He's getting ridiculed for throwing a drink at a fan. Well, the behind the scenes story is that fan is screaming up into the press box, yelling at him and the whole organization, mocking us when one of our guy you and I know really well, Marquise Haynes, had a major back injury right in front of our bench. This wasn't that far after the DeMar Hamlin stuff, and so he kind of seized up, and it was pretty scary for us as players on the field. And there was a couple fans yelling and screaming into our box where our GM, assistant GM, and owner, and all these people are just being nasty and gross, and he's defending us. And again, it gets sort of ridiculed as, oh my gosh, someone threw a drink. Nobody's arguing that's probably not something you want to do, but as a player, you're like, he's on our side. He's defending us. He's fighting for us. He cares about us as people and as players. And so the players certainly feel that 100%. I think the coaching staff does too. And so, again, when you're not winning, it's easy for the piling on to go. We saw all Sunday morning people on ESPN saying how everyone was screwed up. I saw a laundry list. Alex Smith said he would never play for our organization, didn't matter how much you paid him. We're 2 games into Dave Canales. Rex Ryan said he's the worst coach in football. It's just all this garbage stuff. And that's what made Sunday so gratifying was all these people just piling on. And it wasn't just piling on to one person. It was the whole organization, top to bottom. So you want to have success, and that was really important in my opinion.
Awesome stuff, JJ. What's the prep look like the rest of the week for you, brother?
Yeah, so today's our off day. So coaches are hard at work, working at preparing for Cincinnati. Obviously, we got to watch their game last night versus Washington, which was a shootout. It was a great game, and I always struggle in those moments. I'm not sure how you felt as a player. Like, part of me wants them to lose because that when you lose, like, there's a little bit of like, oh, are we good enough? And then part of me wants them to win so that they're maybe not quite as on edge when they play you, because that's we've talked about it. Like, hunger in the NFL is really a big deal, right? Like, if you're desperate for a win, that makes you a dangerous football team.
Yep.
So I didn't really know who I wanted to root for. It was obviously a shootout. And it was a great game. So obviously the coaches will kind of complete their prep today. We'll go back into the building Wednesday, tomorrow, and we'll begin kind of our preparation.
We got to move on. We got to focus on. Can't worry. It's going to be the classics. It's not a shot at Dave. That's every coach.
Yeah.
Every coach would get in there and say, we can't let last week's win affect this week's game. We need to move on. I think, to me, and Dave, from what I'm hearing, is a super positive guy.
Absolutely.
And he's going to use this, boom, grab this positivity and confidence and run with it, right? And I think I'm looking forward to meeting him one day.
Yeah, there's a lot of Seattle vibes, right? It's very positive. It's very, very energetic. There's an emphasis on those things. And the cool part that I see, though, is even though there's a lot of energy, and he kind of, Dave kind of comes across as just like he's there and he's all for the vibes, right? There's just all this really positive energy. He is as detailed as any coach that I've ever played for. What's really kind of unique is, as a leader, he also is very comfortable deferring to his coaches. Like, our team meeting's very short. This is the intention for the day. It's about, it's about the ball, or it's focus, or it's takeaways, or like it's 90 seconds of, hey, this is what we're about. And then he really lets his coaches go to work, which is really cool to see. And then I think the thing he loves more than anything else is to celebrate our success. And what I think has been really different about his coaching style that I've really appreciated, and this well from having played for so long before the NFL, but just I've never really played for a coach that watched you play, and then once you did something good, that was the new standard. I always played for a coach that was like, here's the standard, here's where you are, and I'm going to yell and scream at you until you get up to that standard. There's not a lot of yelling and screaming. He's just watching you and asking for more. And as you take another step, boom, that's the new standard. Boom, that's the new standard. Boom, that's the new standard. So as a player, you don't ever feel like you're being asked something that you're incapable of doing. He just coaches you to the standard that you set. And I think it alleviates a lot of frustration, right? No player likes being yelled at. And I'm sure coaches don't like yelling at players. And what I see is someone that's very confident in the process of building up his players, catching them doing the right things, encouraging to do it more, and watching guys say, shoot, if he's going to cheer me on when I run for the ball once, I'm going to run to the ball 10 times, 50 times, every time, because I want to be cheered on like that. Versus, being
There's tape, you're getting exposed, right?
Yeah, there's been none of that. There's been teaching. Guy doesn't lock the ball up, like we call it lock it up. Like if a guy doesn't lock the ball up, there's teaching, hey, that's an exposed ball. We call it ball in peril. Like that's a ball in peril. We don't want it. But you and I can remember being in team meetings and the tape comes on and all the guys kind of like slouch down because they think there's been none of that. Even when guys are getting coached on something maybe they didn't do right.
Yep.
There's none of that.
A lot of it is referring to, if those listening, is Coach Rule, who JJ and I both played for. I played for in college. I'll say this, right? Because that's his style. Bill Belichick was that way. Right?
It's every coach I've ever played for on some way, shape, or form.
Matt in college was way tougher, right? And then you get the NFL and you realize, okay. All right, listen, I always love asking this question. I said it would be 15 minutes, but here we are in 1945.
That always happens.
It is. You and I can rip. So just give me a sentence, one sentence, if you could, whatever, bullet point, 2 bullet points on every coach you play for the Panthers. Positive light, right? You and I have criticism.
Sure.
If people don't like me, but everybody likes JJ. But my point is, like, the positive light, a sentence or two briefly on each coach you play for, starting with Ron or Fox.
Yeah, Foxy. Foxy was first. He was just so matter of fact. His attention to detail, and he was so predictable that players could really kind of get behind him. He let the players lead. Ron, I spent the most time with him, 9 years. What was special about that group is we had an outstanding assistant coach group, and we had great leaders that were players. So it was a very player and assistant coach-led organization. So very decentralized organization, which was really allowed us to be successful, especially like with Cam. Like that was, Cam had to be his own guy, and that was good for that group. Matt, it was sort of the opposite. This was like the leader from the top, right? And everyone understood that there was one person you had to please in Carolina, and that was Matt. I probably learned more football from Matt Rule than anybody else I've ever played for. His interest in situations and what I call rules, like, hey, when do we extend the ball? When do we not extend the ball? What does a 2-minute situation looks like? What is a 4-minute situation? Like, he would just teach the whole team. He'd teach the whole organization if he could get them all in a room. He just loved that stuff, and I thought he was fantastic at teaching the game of football. He was excellent. Sort of a lot. We've had a few interims, but Steve Wilkes was 12 games, and what Steve was awesome about was capturing the intensity of football. Great man, loved his players, but there was an intensity when he talked that I think every player needs when they walk onto the field. And then Dave, like I said, he's been a breath of fresh air because I skipped Frank. Frank, unfortunately, that was such a short-lived period of time. I honestly didn't get a great chance to really know Frank. He was an awesome guy. It was so short-lived that you didn't really get a chance to really know the person the way I would have liked. I have the advantage, like with Wilkes, it was short-lived, but I've known him for 20 years, going all the way back to Notre Dame. And then lastly, Dave, it's been just football can be fun. Every coach that I've played with, I played for Charlie Weiss, I played for Tyrone Willingham, all the way going back to high school. Football was always hard. It was nasty. It was tough. And with Dave, we're those things, but it's a lot of, encouragement and catching guys doing the right thing, like celebrating the good, because we all know how hard it is. And again, at 38 years old and 17 years in the league, like, I don't know that I've ever had more fun going to work, learning, but it's just like you're around a great group of guys, and that's encouraged. And the coaches are encouraging it, which is really cool.
There it is.
That was more than a sentence on each, but I try to be as short-winded as I could.
Great. It's great because there's been a lot of failure. There has been. Even Ron, right? Matt Rule would always say it, guys. It's still Ron Rivera, but that's a part of our era. We're Panthers. I always thought that was interesting, and Matt did that. And he would say, we haven't won had back-to-back winning seasons here. Now, Matt, we didn't have a winning season with Matt, right? But I thought that was really interesting. Like, there's been a lot of losing in Carolina. There's some great people down there, some great fans.
You bring up an interesting point that I've said before. Like, the Matt Rule era, it could have very easily gone differently. We had some injuries at quarterback. There was a few different things that happened that we just never could figure it out. But again, the piling on from people that don't know, one of the coolest things that Matt ever did was the second he got there, he made himself part of what we had been for 20 years. We haven't had a winning season. It was never a you haven't, or I always thought that was highly respectable, because every other coach I've ever been a part, like anytime there's a new coach, it's always because there was failure before. And that's just part of the NFL. It's part of sports. Yep. And every coach comes in and goes, we're going to change the culture. It was bad before. And he was like, I'm entering in and I am now the culture, and we are now the culture. And that what we were before is us. And I always thought that was really special, because at least for me, because I had been there for that whole time. And I was always kind of waiting for, well, you guys stunk before. And he never said that. He was like, we stunk before, or we had good years, or we had bad years.
I've always been a Matt fan. Obviously, people think that's because I played for him. Listen, I didn't choose to go to Temple, to be honest with you. Yeah. When I was at Florida, I broke my right foot twice and broke my left foot. I was number one tight end in the country. I had 30 offers. Life was really good, man. It was awesome. It was everything I hoped and dreamed for, everything I worked for. And they said, you got to leave. I was like, what? Florida's like, medically disqualified. Your career's over. You should never play again. So I met with Dr. Robert Anderson.
Yeah.
Which is funny, by the way, because when people say, oh, he's getting his foot examined or his ankle examined in Charlotte, North Carolina, I didn't know he left Green Bay. He's back, but I heard someone talking about an ankle the other day. I'm like, oh, Doc Anderson's back in Charlotte, probably hanging with the grandkids. Good for him.
And two of his sons are two of my best friends here.
Correct. They're the Panther staff. Great men. So long story short, I had a transfer, and they were the only scholarship I had.
Yeah.
And I walked into the first meeting room and I said, oh my God, who is this guy? Now, listen, everyone has their faults. I get that, right? I do as a player. That's why I'm sitting in a mic talking to you right now. So at the end of the day, I still think, every year got better. And through COVID, through all those crazy times and the ball bouncing different ways, man, I think the biggest blow ever to us was we played Dallas really hard. We lost. That was not the biggest. That was when we were 2-0. We should have been 3-0.
We were 3-0. That was game 4. Yeah.
That was game 4.
Yeah.
That was game 4. Sorry. That was tough. But okay, fine. No worries. Played really well.
Yeah.
Zylstra had that big catch and run. Yep. And then we lost to Philly and Minnesota at home.
Yeah.
We should have won both those games. And I think that gets you, I think that probably puts us at about 500 that year. Buy some more time. It's a shame, because I walked in that year and I was like, whoa, we got to.
That was the best group. We were a play away from, and every team can say this stuff, but we were a play away in 21. Yeah, in 21 from being 5-1 and starting that year off. And then after that, Sam got hurt. Cam came in, played well early.
We were feeling good. It was him and PJ. I'm like, this is perfect. Don't change it.
Yeah.
Cam couldn't move the ball. Cam couldn't throw it.
After a couple of games, like you could just tell it wasn't quite the same. But they had a good rapport in that first game. That
Cardinals game, I was inactive.
Arizona was fantastic, and then we played Washington and should have won that game. And Cam played great. Like the first 10 or 11 games, very easily could have been like an 8-3 start, and I think it was like 5-6 or maybe 4-7. I mean, it was. We were good. We weren't great, but we were good. And again, to your point, like a bounce of the ball here or there, winning has a way of compounding and the snowballs one way or the other. But again, like most things in the NFL, if you have really good quarterback play and you're doing well there, you can win games even if you shouldn't. And
quarterback play and coordinator, probably your OC
coordinators,
those two, like look at
that's the beauty of football. Is that every position matters. Quarterback, offensive play caller might matter a little bit more than others, but they all matter.
Yep.
And when you can build teams where, that's why everyone's searching for these quarterbacks, and that's why everyone's searching for these offensive play callers. And your hope is if you can find one of them and they're not easy to find, but if you can find one of them, you've got a chance to be successful for 10, 12 years, even as you're turning the roster over and losing guys in free agency. That's the beauty. Mahomes is not doing what Mahomes did 5 years ago, but he doesn't have to, because they've turned that defense over and Andy Reid is still there and they're winning differently, but they're winning because of the quarterback and the play caller. They're just winning differently. And that's why they've won 3 Super Bowls. And and they're not that far away from winning 5 Super Bowls. So that's why those positions matter more than most.
Legendary. Now, are you cutting checks to Notre Dame NIL?
No, thankfully they haven't asked me. I'm pretty sure they don't know how my phone number. I'm from so far ago that they probably lost their phone number.
How many Notre Dame guys have played 27 years in the NFL? What year is this for you?
This is 17. They're calling Tommy Tremble up to ask him for money. They at least know where he is.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Take the money. Tremble's like, hey, JJ, did Notre Dame call you and ask for $1 million?
That's right. Can I give my buddy? We were talking about Ian Thomas, one of our tight ends. Tommy Tremble is one of my most favorite players to watch on the field. I said this to a couple offensive coaches yesterday. I had rewatched the game, just the TV copy. I don't know what I'm watching on offense. I could watch Tommy play on every single down, and I'm fully convinced that you could never throw him the ball and he'd still have more fun than anybody else on the field. He wants to run. He wants to hit. If you give him the ball, he'll try to jump over you, run through. Like he's having so much fun.
He's a lot like George Kittle.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great comparison.
I said it right away when I saw him. Tom, their technique's not great. They both play on their toes. But man, they can hit you like a ton of bricks. They have extreme pop and explosion. Tommy is. I love him like a son. I was tough on him at times. We did some great things together. And, it's funny, JJ, and I'm you know me well. I'm a 3rd, 4th, 5th tight end on a roster and in my prime. And I remember someone saying, are they going to draft anybody to come in that room? And I was like, I don't think so. We got a pretty solid room, guys that do a little bit of everything. We just signed Dan Arnold. I'm like, I don't think so. It was me, Gio, Sully, Ian, Dan Arnold. I'm like, we got to kind of receiving guy, catching guy. You got a depth guy. You got a project guy. And Sully, who's a good player in this league. Now he's dinged up. Gio. And Panthers, 3rd round, Tommy Tremble. That was the beginning of the end for me. So I love him. I'm happy for him. Yeah. He's definitely, he's grown into quite the man. So a lot of fun people. Cuba. There's a lot of great guys, man.
It takes one of the things I've learned is it takes a few years for most players to mature into NFL dudes. Yep. And we were talking about Chuba earlier, and we didn't really finish the thought. When Chuba was drafted, one of our coaches told us that in the pre-draft interview, that we do all these military assessments and all this stuff. Chuba was the most leader-ready guy of anybody that they drafted. We drafted 11 guys in that first draft with Matt. I guess it was his second draft. It was the first one Matt really did. And I was kind of like, man, what does that mean? He's a leader. Year 4, he is a leader. He is 100% a leader. And he started on special teams and was totally committed to that. And just kept
a lot, running the ball too. He was definitely that's a guy who's a worker and he'll drag people into it. He would drag, and Tommy Tremble's a worker.
And Tommy was the guy he dragged the most.
Drag him. And I'm like, Tommy, you should be in his hip pocket because he could relate to him. He was in my hip pocket and Ian's hip pocket on stuff, but not like Chuba. And I think that's a credit to Tommy. Yeah. Saying, this is who I'm going to go to. Right. Yeah. And we've been around a long time. I always try to tell guys listen, everyone says, go find the veterans. Go find the right veteran.
Yeah.
Have the maturity to find the right guy. Chuba's like a football guy, track guy, smart, handles himself well off the field. Go find the guy you want to be. You may not be that guy now, but go find the guy you want to be, and it's usually be good to go. I mean, for me, I was a journeyman until year 4. I didn't, until I really got to Carolina. So you don't even have that's what allowed me to get my feet underneath me. A lot of mistakes, a lot of turbulence. Yeah. But for a guy that's drafted, not really given that time. You're given the time, but sometimes they need you to produce. So yeah, good stuff, man. It was a good group. I think back fondly, Jeremy Chin is a great player.
Yep.
Washington now, a lot of really good men. So JJ, I know you have 17 kids and 20 practices to go to. Thank you for 33 minutes. I said 15. Here we are. We could do it all the time. I had JJ on when we were in Carolina, weekly. So they won. I got to get JJ on. So thank you.
Hopefully we win more. You're going to have me on more often.
If you every win, you're coming on.
Perfect. I'm in.
See you, buddy.
See ya.